Hey guys, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. I'm just back from the cinema and I went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And let me tell you something, it is an awesome flick. It is the ninth feature from Quentin Tarantino, and it is an awesome period piece set in Hollywood in the 1960s and mainly centers around two characters. Rick Dalton, played awesomely by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Cliff Booth, his best friend and stunt double, played by Brad Pitt, and just their misadventures and adventures in the landscape of 60s Hollywood. You also have Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, the neighbour of Rick Dalton. She is with Roman Polanski at the time, and it is the lead up to the famous massacre by the Manson family. And like Tarantino's other projects, say like Inglorious Bastards, he decides to put a twist on history. But I won't go too much into that because I don't want to spoil the movie on you. The title itself, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is a nice nod to kind of Leone-esque westerns and the kind of vibe and setting that Leone kind of wanted to make you feel that there was a different time and place, and that is referenced. Rick stars in a bunch of spaghetti westerns, and it's kind of funny at the time. Spaghetti westerns were looked down on, and Rick Rick is totally disgusted with having to star in them. DiCaprio is brilliant. His character is so likable. He's this aging kind of actor who is kind of now relegated to playing bad guys in westerns, and he's dealing with a stutter and he's trying to overcome it. But once he gets in front of that camera, he steals the show. His best buddy, Cliff Booth, played by Brad Pitt, is awesome as this kind of I don't take no shit kind of stuntman who inadvertently ends up tangling with the Manson family, and he kind of sets stuff in motion that leads up to the events at the end of the movie. You also have Margot Robbie's performance as Sharon Tate, and people were kind of criticizing and bitching about it, saying that she was underused, or she was kind of cast aside. I didn't think so. I think she got enough screen time. I think she was fantastic. There is this kind of really likable nature to her version of Sharon Tate, this young starlet who hasn't become totally kind of embroiled in Hollywood stardom. She's still kind of very grounded and down to earth, and very much a flower child. And it is cool. That helps you like the character more. So when you think you know what's going to happen, you feel in jeopardy for her, and that makes again, I'm not going to give too much away. That makes Cliff and Rick's encounter with the Manson lackeys at the end even more satisfying. But by and large, the cast is great. This is probably one of Tarantino's best kind of ensemble casts put together since Pulp Fiction or Jackie Brown. You really like the characters, you really like the kind of backstories, and there's some great moments. For example, you have Cliff getting in an argument with Bruce Lee on the set of the Green Hornet, and they end up kicking the shit out of each other. And you also have some like really, yeah, you really, I really would like to see not Tarantino but Leonardo DiCaprio in a lot more comedies, because he has some great comedic timing. There's a bit where he's talking about like being in an action movie, having to use a flamethrower, and like he's giving out, Jesus, can you do anything about the heat? And the lads turn to him and goes, it's a fucking flamethrower. There isn't much you can do. But yeah, the other thing I really liked is the budding friendship between DiCaprio and Pitt's character, Rick and Cliff, because you do get the feeling that there is kind of a symbiotic kind of bromance going on. Rick has very little confidence, but has all this money and wealth and fame, whereas Cliff is really talented and has lots of confidence when it comes to action and fighting and stuff. But he's living in a trailer with his adorably vicious dog Brandy, who is another star of the movie, and they kind of work off each other, and it is kind of cool to see just two characters. I think this is a nice kind of throwback to the likes of Pulp Fiction, where you had Vince Vega and Jules Winfield driving around shooting the shit, and you get a lot of that in this movie. It's just the two boys just chatting and shooting the shit in the car, driving from point A to point B, and someone might get bored of that. I don't think so. If you're thinking that this is going to be a splatterfest, the likes of Inglorious Bastards or Django Unchained or The Hateful Eight, it's not. It is a period piece set in the 60s, but it has some kind of fun action elements. But by and large, it's a bit more subdued. It's a bit more subdued than the actual the prior Tarantino flicks, and it is a fantastic period piece. Like, it does show the kind of the vibe and the feeling of the 60s. For example, Sharon is like just driving down the freeway to go into the city, and she picks up a hippie on the side of the road, and they just get chatting and they hug and say goodbye, and it just shows that was what America was like in the 60s, and that was, for the good or the bad, it was a very kind of time of free peace and love, but it also allowed freaks like the Mansons to flourish. There is actually a very kind of tense scene with Cliff visiting the ranch that all the Mansons are at, and you wonder what the fuck is going to go on. And by and large, it's a pretty cool scene. It's another standout scene. Cast is great. The action, what little action there is great, and it is definitely a love letter to the 60s. Again, it's also a fairy tale because of the ending. There is a bit more of an upbeat ending, henceforth why it's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It is a fairy tale, but it is a Tarantino fairy tale. So if you get a chance, definitely go see it. I'm going to check it out again. One, because I promised my girlfriend I'd take her to see it, and that is something that's important to me. And two, I would like to genuinely go see it again. So if you get a chance, definitely check it out. Tarantino has definitely knocked this one out of the park. If you're expecting the likes of Reservoir Dogs or From Dusk Till Dawn or The Hateful Eight or Django Unchained, you will be disappointed. This is definitely more for the movie aficionado. I think if you liked Jackie Brown, or if you liked the more kind of talking head parts of, say, Pulp Fiction, this is definitely one to check out. So my name is Martin. This has been the Trash Picture Show. I went to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It kicked arse. I highly recommend it. And if you've seen the movie, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and have a good one. Take care. Bye now.